All right, thanks everybody for taking some time today for the PGB call. I apologize again. I feel I am hopefully not turning this into a habit, but I again wasn't able to send out an agenda in advance this week. I apologize. It's just been really hectic. I do have a couple of topics I wanted to cover though. Couple of things for everyone's awareness, and then a couple of discussion things. And then we can open the floor and see if folks have other topics they want to discuss. Otherwise, we might have a quicker meeting today. So we'll see where we land. Um, First thing I wanted to open it up with is just to raise a couple of great things going on for this group's awareness. Because we've got a couple of talks and presentations going on related to OCA over the next 2 weeks. So tomorrow at the Sands Threat Hunting, the annual Sands Threat Hunting Summit started today. If you want to check that out, I can post a link here in the WebEx shortly when I dig it up, maybe. It's free to register. Anybody can register for it. And we actually have a session in it on Kestrel. That session is going to be tomorrow, right after the keynote. So it's actually a really good slot that they got slotted into, high visibility. So that's great news, great promotion for an OCA project. As well, next week, Duncan, who's here in the call, and myself, and some others are participating in a panel at All Things Open. It's a hybrid virtual as well as in-person panel, and I believe Duncan's going to be there in person, as well as the moderator. I'll be there virtually, as well as some other panel participants, and the topic is about securing your software. And we'll be talking about a lot of different things, SBOM, vulnerability management, etc. But my place in the panel is from the threat side, and I'll be trying to work in, some of our OCA projects and things that are going on in this organization, and I'll definitely be plugging it at that venue. So that's two great things that are going on, and at the same, the third, and as well, in November, we've also got some of our projects in Black Hat Europe. I believe I mentioned that in the last PGB call, but we're actually now developing the demo environment that'll be used for that, and it's tying together a couple of OCA projects with some other open source things like Elasticsearch and an IBM project called Sysflow, to create this threat hunting environment stack. So that's going to be demoed at Black Hat Arsenal in Europe. So bunch of great activity going on, showcasing the organization, and hopefully we'll get more folks engaged and interested in what's going on in the OCA. I'm especially excited for this Sands threat hunting one that's going on today, because I've attended that Sands threat hunting session, or threat hunting conference a number of times, and it's very, very good, very high quality stuff. So really hoping that some of the folks from that will get interested and adopt some of the technology, because it'll have cascading effects to the other projects, as we get them engaged and interested in that. So any questions that I might be able to answer in any of those events, if anyone has any questions on them quickly? No. So the next thing I wanted to bring up to the group, and it's actually a good dovetail from that, is the OCA TSC. And as you'll recall, after the last PGB meeting, we agreed to send out the call for nominations for folks to either nominate an individual or nominate themselves to the OCA TSC. Now, unfortunately, we have not received, as of today, any nominations for that after that request, other than Duncan. who's here on the call, nominated himself. So I wanted to bring that up and try to see, for the folks here on the call, reach out to your organizations, your networks. If you have people in mind, we've really got to figure out how to constitute a TSC or the OCA that, that'll actually work and be able to do some of the things that we need it to do. We did send out in the email the guidance around what's expected in the TSC. What type of work are people signing up for? It's not a lot of work. We're really just looking for people who can do that steward these projects and like take on some of these leadership roles we need to create some of this technical governance that's so desperately needed in the OCA as part of the type of open organization we really want to be. So I just wanted to put that out there and, open the floor to, if folks have ideas about, are there other ways we should be advertising and promoting the ask that we have this open call for nominations. So we sent it out to the OCA mailing list, which has 400 or 500 subscribers. We posted it in the Slack. I believe I tweeted it myself. If people have ideas of other venues we should be advertising this, other forums that we should go and try to recruit some people, please share, please let me know. Because I'd really like to have, at least 3 or 4 good members of the TSC. And like I said, right now we haven't gotten any nominations aside from Duncan.
So Jason, one question that maybe is probably other former TSC members had and architecture committee members had and project leads had is it's not, and I apologize, I took the summer off like I usually do, so I'm behind on everything. But is it clear to everyone else? It's not clear to me, the sort of TSC role versus the architecture committee role versus the, I don't know what the right name to say, but I'll say the project leads on each of the open source projects. I mean, I would have thought at a minimum, the leads from each of the 3 projects would have signed up for the TSC, but again, maybe I don't understand the relations between them.
Yeah, I mean, it is laid out. It's laid out in our governance documents. I mean, we could create a blog post about it, maybe. I don't know if maybe a blog post might be another way that we should try to raise visibility on this. But yeah, it is laid out pretty clearly. I mean, so are you asking if the project maintainers should be TSC
laid out clearly, but the fact that the people on the architecture committee, which is doing stuff and, and meeting and stuff like that, sort of chose not to think they should be in the TSC, and the project leads of each of the open source projects sort of chose not to nominate themselves for the TSC indicates an issue to me, because it seems to me like there's sort of at least some, I'll call it architecture committee representation, and some, a representative from Stick Shifter, a representative from PACE, a representative from OpenDXL, whatever. There needs to be sort of I mean, we're oversighting the projects. You'd think the projects would care.
Yeah, and we could do that. I mean, so the delta between the role of a project maintainer and the TSC, the TSC is supposed to be setting, more strategic governance direction for the technical direction of the projects and the technical governance. So if you look at, what I said in the email, I was trying to highlight, the things that we're really looking for. The reason why we're trying to juice up the TSC right now is, we need guidance around just basic governance policies that need to be put in place. Like, when do we accept a PR? Or when, we've been talking about some of this stuff for years, so it's not news to you, Duncan. But like, I
No, no,
mean,
I understand, but
we can.
the fact that the projects leads recognizing if they understood that message, that the project maintainers chose not to be members is sort of, I don't know, either the message didn't get through right or I'm not understanding the message because it's basically they should care about that stuff. So,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, I can always go inside, say, IBM, and ask the Kestrel folks to self-nominate for TSC, ask Stixer folks to nominate for TSC, right? But I don't really want to do that, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm trying to.
in one sense, yes, but in another sense, no. And maybe again, because I understand you don't want to, as a corporate person, say, "Hey, corporate people on my company, go do this," but more as the chairperson saying, "Hey, you're the project maintainer to each of the projects, not just the ones that IBM's the lead on." Say, "Hey, it's sort of like a board of directors. Remember the CEO of the company is on the board of directors too. It's not just outside directors. There's the people who actually have to implement what the strategy is need to be on it too," is my point. I mean, maybe we should structure it a little differently such that, the project maintainers are on it by definition or something, because it is, we want to do it in a way that they're sort of going in the direction that the PGB thinks they should be, and the sort of TSC sort of the interface between the two. But it's also, we want them, across projects to do things consistently and things like that. So it should have representation from each project, I guess, in my mind.
Yeah, so I guess a comment I have, and maybe Jason, this is where you're potentially coming from anyway. I don't really know, but we have projects coming in and they want to work on their projects. We want to make sure that they stick around and that we don't necessarily overburden them. And I think that the real point is that it would be best to have a TSC that's composed of members who want to be there. So if we were to assign that as a responsibility of a project maintainer, what would that do to projects coming in? Would we be less likely to get projects coming in? Would it be more difficult to find maintainers because they see this additional responsibility that they may not actually really be interested in? It's kind of a balance we have to reach. I think I see both perspectives here. I'm just not sure which way to go.
Yeah, no, it's a very valid point. But that is that is sort of the trade-off. And if there's stuff to get done and no one to do it, then nothing gets done. So.
Yeah. So maybe kind of a little bit of both. So maybe I will make sure that the maintainers of the various projects have seen the notice, because it's possible that it just slipped through the cracks and they never even got the note.
And it doesn't necessarily even have to be all the maintainers. It's just the fact that none of them did might mean there's something we're missing.
Yeah, so I can do that. I would, in parallel, if there's folks or individuals we think, we should be reaching out to, who are involved in a lot of the activities we're doing, and might be interested in this, we should forward it to them as well to make sure that they received it, because I don't know who's on the mailing list and monitoring the Slack and all this stuff. It's difficult to know whether or not you're getting the word out appropriately. I'm sending it to the channels that we have. But
Sort of related, but again, because I'm a little surprised none of the Govies raised their hand. Who are the project maintainers on the PACE project?
So that's another topic I was going to bring up on this call, but we can dovetail into it, I guess. So the PACE project, I was going to ping Adam to see if. So I know I pinged Adam earlier this week about the status. Do we have a proposal? I don't know if you wanted to give an update on that, Adam, so that I'm not playing telephone here.
All right, no worries. Yeah, so I mean, I created a draft of that proposal a while ago, actually, and then I handed it off to Pace team, and it's still with them at this point. I think that Mike Rosa, who's actually with NSA, leading that part of the effort, I guess. Like he's kind of overseeing their aspect of participating in PACE. I think he reached out to Mark for feedback, and that's where it sits now. I'm not sure. He was on PTO though, so Mark may have gotten back to him already.
I
He just
did.
didn't get to that email. So I would expect to see a proposal in, like a final proposal in for the project really soon. But that's the best I have for you right now. Now I am meeting with Mike tomorrow. So I want to make sure I'm telling you the truth. Yes, I am
And you
telling
do
you
meet
the
with
truth.
them because he might not, because they're sort of in this weird state. I'm not sure they're on our mailing list for everything. You might want to mention to Mike, hey, Mike, Duncan at the meeting yesterday, you can feel free to use my name in vain. Duncan at the meeting yesterday said he was really surprised that at least that one of either Dave Kemp or Dave Lemire or Mike Rosa's name wasn't on the TSC.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I guess that's the kind of the question you're asking, Duncan, is, if we, let's assume the PACE project will exist. Are there individuals like such as them that might want to be part of the TSC and might want to help with some of these technical stewardship questions? That's good.
Yep.
Good idea.
I'll speak with Mike about that
It's
tomorrow.
sort of Mike's job for the NSA to basically do technical stewardship of standards. That's sort of what his job description is. So this is one they're very interested in. So being on things like the TSC would sort of get everything moving in the directions he wants them to move in. So again, it might be they're just too hesitant because they're not sure whether they're members not and all that sort of stuff because it doesn't exist yet. So there might be a chicken egg issue, but
Could be. Yeah, I'll talk to him about that for sure. And I'd like to see that project actually submitted here within, I'd like it to be done within a week at the latest, right? Like it should be done by now, in my opinion.
yeah, because we talk about it in other meetings with like them talking about it like it's a done deal, but from what you're saying,
Right.
it's not.
Right. No, because it hasn't been submitted yet as a project, right? So we just need to get that. To me, it seems more like a hoop, but
It is a bit of a hoop, but yeah, because I mean, so once it's through, I think we can decide right now. I'm assuming everybody here at least is okay with a digital ballot for that, because we do need to we need to do ballots for the new projects. So assuming everyone's okay with a digital ballot, then once the proposal comes over, if it's next week or whatever, then we can have an email list thread to review it and then just open the digital ballot so that we don't have to wait till November. Does that sound? I mean, I
yeah.
don't have an issue with that.
+1.
Okay.
Yes, I have no issue with that either. And actually, they did ask earlier this week, like when they become a project, will they get a mailing list? And I was like, well, the other projects seem to have one, so why not?
And there's
So
a
they're looking forward to it.
there's a teeny bit of urgency, not super urgency, but just to sort of make it real, because there are 2 European projects that recently have come to our attention, both Jacob and Strategy, that look an awful lot like it. And probably we want them all playing on the same page, and we probably want OCA to sort of, for lack of a better term, stick its oar in the water in both Jacob and Strategy to get sort of our way of doing things in. So I think PACE is a good avenue to do that. But again, it's got to exist to do that.
What are these other two things, Duncan? Jacob and
Jacob is the Joint Cybersecurity Operations Platform of the EU. It's a research project. I'll go find a link and give it to you. And Strategy is this big, huge, long acronym that they made up to obviously make the good word strategy. That is the which is a different sort of unrelated but related project on emergency response and first responders and critical responders to cyber attacks. So both of them are pretty broad, but both of them clearly have what we do in their wheelhouse. And Jacob specifically has got an effort. Well, actually, both do. Both have efforts out underway to go say, hey, go find out what standards exist in these areas. And I've told both of them about OCA just because they sent me an email as OpenC2 chair. So the fact, Jason, you didn't get that email then. They didn't, obviously they did it all BCC. So I'm not sure who got that, but like the strategy one, as OpenC2 chair, I got one saying, hey, we're doing this survey of what standards apply to, cyber response. So obviously we're responding, OpenC2 does, but I included Cacao and CSAF and OCA in my response as well.
No, I've never. This is new news, but good news.
So obviously you're not on the OpenC2 mailing list either. You would have known about it from my email.
And Duncan, I've only got so many hours in the day.
Believe me, I understand. That's why I'm in as many meetings. But anyway, because when all said and done, PACE is sort of a U.S. government centric, is where most of the players are at the moment. The fact that there's two European centric equivalent activities going on, it would be good if they all sort of played nice together, and it'd be good if they all used all our stuff. So I just wanted to make sure PACE existed enough that they don't get crossed off the European list.
I'd agree. It actually sounds like an opportunity to bring, some other stakeholders in here. Another thing that we need to think through, and I don't know if we should ask if this be part of the proposal or not. I guess it's actually probably not their problem, but we need to figure out, like what is happening with the, so PACE is kind of replacing the previous prototype project, more or less, kind of. So what I'm trying to figure out is, what do we want to say about PACE? Assuming it, when we accept it, and we make a, some kind of announcement about it, blog or whatever. I see Dee join the call a little bit later. I think this is something for Oasis to think through, Dee, like if we bring this PACE project on board, what we want to say about it.
Yeah, we can do an article, we can do, if someone can get me some content, and then we do all the social media around it, right? So we put it on, we tweet about it, we do some LinkedIn references, we put on LinkedIn page, but that would be great. But I do need just a paragraph at the most to build something around it.
And currently the PACE crowd appears to be, just as an outside sort of observer that cares about it, extremely deeply technically oriented and not very awareness and adoption oriented. That paragraph you need, I haven't found anywhere.
So Dee, I think we CIS have an outstanding task for you, right? To get a blog post posted. And
I didn't want to mention it on here, but indeed,
no, mention it all you want. So I finished writing that up, and it's gone through all the hurdles here, and it's in our workflow. It'll be posted at some point here, I think within a week or so. I can find out details outside of this call. But in that, I do mention PACE. I talk a lot about it. I talk about OCA, how OCA has a vision that's very similar to what CIS would like to see in terms of an open ecosystem. Then I talk about PACE and how we want that to become part of OCA. I don't say it's already part of OCA, but I think I use a phrase like, if accepted or something like that, right? PACE would blah, 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 blah. Bring posture assessment basically into what is largely a threat management approach at this point, right? Like we can start completing that picture. So once that goes live, I mean, feel free to link to it, steal from it, whatever you need to do, right? Like,
Okay.
improve on it. And obviously, there will be improvements that can be made, but yeah, so that might be
So
helpful.
maybe we'll break it into two, right? So we'll have this first blog that's going to be part of the cybersecurity month.
Mhm.
And then we'll do, stay tuned for further developments on PACE. And then we'll do a separate one on that, because that's a really good outreach opportunity.
Cool.
And
Does that
Adam,
make
anything
sense?
you have that has, once it's blessed enough that you're allowed to do it, go ahead and submit those paragraphs about PACE as PRs to the, I mean, OCA already has a GitHub repository on PACE, so it may not be a project yet, but at least on GitHub, it looks like one.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hard to tell what it's about, so your paragraph will help.
That was my fault too. That was a, I guess ask for forgiveness kind of thing. I don't know.
No, I like it. I think it's good that it's there, but go ahead and stick the intro paragraph on it as well.
It's a good idea.
Thank you, Adam.
Claudia's
You're
not
welcome.
here to slap your hand, so you're okay.
Hey, she's the one who told me to do it.
I think it's good it was done. It should be, we should be agile. That's an agile thing.
Oh, sorry. When that does go live, what I'm going to also do is use that as an opportunity, because CIS will post that up to like LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. So I'll repost it on LinkedIn and also make a call for TSC participation in the same kind of repost, just to take advantage of that. I don't know. That could be helpful.
Yeah, we could do that, but sometimes it's, you mix the message up. The TSC is kind of a separate thing.
That's a fair point. Then I'll do it separately.
Those were the main topics that I had to discuss. So I'm not sure if anybody, maybe we can end a little bit early this week. If anybody has anything else they want to bring up or discuss for the agenda. Forrest, since you're here, just FYI, I am still pursuing internally to see if I might be able to get the architecture working group access to Cloud Pak for data. So I'm still trying to figure that out, but stay tuned. This is our product line that it's in the same space as that Calibra thing you were talking about. We have like a whole data management platform that does all this stuff. So I'm trying to see if I can get access.
That's
Yeah, I'm
fun.
trying to see if I can get access to it for this working group.
Okay. So I had a couple things then, since you raised my name. One is I couldn't find the list of TSC members on either the Open Cyber Security website or the Oasis one. Where should I be looking for that?
Yeah,
There's a list of 20 members, or well, it says there's 37 members of the distro list for the mail group for TSC, but I don't know where I see that list of 37 or any of that stuff.
So it's kind of confusing. I think and I know that Guy has mentioned this too, and I know that Claudia is looking at redoing some things on the website, because it is kind of hard to find some stuff. So if you go to our website, the OCA website, you click about, and then you click on the thing that says governance. So it says
Yeah, I
meet
put it in
our
there.
leadership.
Yeah, Jason, I put the link in there.
Okay.
It talks about the PGB and the TSC, and there's links to the representatives, and they're tracked on GitHub.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, if you go through this process, this is where, your question about the current list, you're going to see there's that list
Right there.
is
List of
outdated.
current members can be found here.
Exactly.
Got it. And that's over on GitHub. Okay, so we've got GitHub, we've got the Open Cyber Security Alliance website, and we have Oasis websites. Okay, I got it now. All right, that answered my questions. We've got 5-6 people on it. Okay, and the other point that I had is I had promised, and I still haven't delivered because I took the summer off too, the meeting with MITRE. And so I just sent a note to the MITRE folks this morning to try to restart that. My question to you folks here on the call is how does October 20th look for everybody if I were to try to pick that as a date in the future for us to have a meeting with the MITRE folks? As a reminder, for those of you who aren't familiar, they're the ones who did the attack and defend frameworks and you know, the CVE buckets and a bunch of other stuff for as it relates to cybersecurity standards as an FFRDC in the United States.
So which folks are we meeting with? Curious.
Well, the initial or of the full list, I don't have everybody, but of the list that I've asked, at least the team that created the MITRE, I'm sorry, the attack framework, and the ones that created the attack framework, which is also supposed to be a knowledge model. So attack and defend, frankly. And then I asked them if there's anybody else at MITRE that thinks that they should be in a call with us who might be doing cybersecurity standards work. Like, for example, they're working on NEAM domain module with DHS or whatever. That's who I asked for on their side to join us. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah. So Adam Pennington and his team, or
Is he, so where's Adam Pennington? Is he work, I think he's on the attack module, or is he on defend?
attack.
Oh, defend, right? Attack,
He's
okay.
the attack lead. Yeah.
Is Struce
Okay,
on the
yeah, I
call
think
you're
he's-
setting up?
No,
I'm sorry?
Struce is not. Struce runs the Center for Threat and Foreign Defense now, so he's not
That's why I
directly.
was just asking if he was on it because he's obviously related to some of this stuff.
Yeah. So that's another thing going. So actually, there's two. Actually, sorry, Forrest. I don't want to interrupt you. I know you said you had a couple of items. I'll come back to my items when you're done. I just remembered.
No, my first item was the TSC committee, and I know where to find it now. My second item was the question, how does October 20th sound for you and others for me to set up a meeting with MITRE at which we would have our initial discussion about the different cybersecurity standards projects that we're working on, potential areas for collaboration, or at a minimum, deconfliction. So how does October 20th sound? And then once they tell me who is going to be able to attend from there, I will be able to tell everybody here who from MITRE is going to attend. And if you have recommendations of who should be attend, I'd be happy to share those with MITRE. Again, how does October 20th look?
So speaking for myself, I mean, it depends on the hour, because I have my whole morning is sucked up with something, and then I've got another thing over the noon hour, and then the afternoon I'm probably good. So it would depend.
One data point, short of doing a doodle poll, how does Wednesday afternoon, the 20th, work for folks?
Good for me. This Adam, good for me.
Okay.
Same
So we will
with
shoot sometime.
afternoon.
Okay.
That's good for me as well.
All right, perfect. And of course, we'll try to record it for those who can't be there, but I'll shoot for something the afternoon of the 20th, assuming that I get a favorable reply from MITRE in a timely fashion. That was my, those are my two things. Back over to Jason or anybody else.
I was just going to point out that since Struce is on the call on the 2 days before that, or day before that, actually, the day before that, with both Jason and myself, at least being coordinated might make a difference. If he's going to be there, great. If he's not going to be there, but again, we sort of get access to him the day before. Admittedly, they'll be live. I don't know if it matters.
Yeah. So I did. So these are the things I forgot to mention. I did have a conversation with Rich Struce about, should the OCA become a CTID member? So it was a very quick conversation while we were doing some other things. But it was positive. So we might be trying to figure that out. So the other topic I forgot to mention is kind of affiliations. So there's a couple of things going on that are being discussed that the PGB should be aware of. So first is that one that I had a quick conversation with Rich about, you know, can the Center for Threat Informed Defense and the OCA, you know, work together somehow more closely. So that's a conversation we're having. Another conversation got initiated by Guy. So Guy's the executive director of Oasis. He connected me with the Rochester Institute of Technology. And they have a number of cybersecurity programs going on right now. And you know, it's very, very early days. Only had one conversation, but we're trying to explore, you know, are there opportunities or ways that all the programs that RIT does, you know, can work with the OCA. And, you know, there's a number of different things that we brought up, like, you know, when they do open source, if there's major projects they're working on, you know, would we be a good home for some of those things? Are there ways that, you know, some of our projects that we already have ongoing, you know, increase visibility with their students and their, you know, their research programs that they run. So, you know, kind of open conversation, again, positive conversation. So we'll see where it goes. So those were two things that have happened over the past couple of weeks.
Jason, would you be willing to share who your contact at RIT is? I've spoken at a couple of their events. I know some of the people there, although my main contact left isn't there anymore. I have a lake house just south of Rochester, so I go to some of their hacker stuff. You know, I go to the DC area hacker stuff, and I go to the Rochester area hacker stuff. So I know some of them through it. So just in case I know who it is and can put in a good word, you're willing to share.
You're putting me on the spot here. I'm gonna have to get
Just
you
email it
back
to me
on that, Duncan.
like I said, my main contact isn't there anymore. He left, but I do know some of the people there. If I can put in a good word, I'll do it. And if I don't know them, I won't interfere.
Yep, I'll have to get back to you. I don't know the names off the top of my head who were on the call.
And is that something we'd be interested in doing with other schools as well? Maybe we see how this one works out, but if it works well, we might think about doing that, you know, get all of us to go hit our alma maters up or something.
Well, yeah, I think this is something that we still need to figure out a little bit, right? You know, how can we affiliate with, you know, schools and organizations in ways that is positive without, you know, we obviously don't have a lot of resources or time or people, right? So that's, I think, something to figure out, you know, and probably what we're going to explore here. I mean, for me, it's, you know, anything to do to raise visibility of what we're doing in places like the cybersecurity research community, which, you know, they've got a lot of stuff going on over there at that school, is a good thing.
Yeah, no, RIT is a particularly good choice because they're also very active in the academic side of how should you teach cybersecurity. There's some national councils and stuff they're on, because they were one of the early adopters of cybersecurity as a curriculum. So yeah, they're a great choice.
Okay. Any other topics to raise to the PGB this week?
So I just have a real quick update on National Cybersecurity Month. We have done really well. I'm very pleased with the amount of, and thank you, Matthew. Matthew submitted the first blog, and you can find that on our website. So that was the first week. I've got a SOC blog that is that I think probably is going to go next week, but we're working the CIS submission. Thank you, Adam. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm working with a group of members on a Zero Trust blog and then the XDR. So we are going to have at least one thing every week, which, you know, I think that's quite the feat. But anyway, so we've got a lot of stuff going on. And then I put in the chat, Jason, about your presentation at All Things Open. So a lot of good stuff going on.
So I know Claudia's out, D, but when she gets back, like, you know, I think this is, you know, I know we've had conversations with the new website and stuff, but this is, I think, going to be illustrative of why we've got to push that a little bit, because we don't have any way to track right now the consumption of all of these great work you're doing. Like what I
Amen,
mean is,
amen, brother.
yeah,
Just
we have no way to know how many people are reading those blogs, and it's
oh lordy, lordy, I have no comment.
Could you
Anyway,
throw a link to the blog in the chat? I just went to the homepage and I can't find it. I guess that's part of the problem.
it's under news.
really, it's under news. Shoot. And if you're
News,
tracking
okay.
anything on LinkedIn or tracking Twitter, or, if you use Twitter, please grab that stuff.
Yeah, I just didn't know to click on the news button to find it. Maybe you should keep the newest blog on the homepage or something, but yeah.
Well, so, right, that's part of the redesign, right? To have a
Yeah.
feature section, and upcoming and all that stuff. So yeah, it's all part of the redesign. We're working on it. We're working on it. And then the only other comment I had real quick was, I'm supporting another open project, and we're looking very closely at inviting academics to be on the TSC. So this might be something, sort of a way for us to kill two birds with one stone. It looks really good to have academics on your TSC.
What do you mean by academics?
Well, we were talking earlier about, aligning with some of these university projects.
When,
So
when
maybe,
Well,
somebody, when
so
they
how are they
say where
gonna-
they're from, the name behind it is an educational institution, not a company.
right. Just a
Yeah,
thought.
okay, but I guess my real question is if we don't have any educational institutions in the OCA, how can they become members of TSC? Can they be outside
TSC
members?
doesn't require OCA membership.
Right. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I guess
It's
that's
equivalent to quote outside directors.
Ah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Just a thought.
She
Okay,
means
that's all
that
I
she
have.
means people who are smarter than us. That's what she means.
Strictly from a
Okay, don't
PR viewpoint,
assume.
it's people who look smarter than us.
Yeah, don't assume that so many people in academia are smarter than anybody. I can say that because I'm also in academia.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you
just
go.
kidding.
There you go. All right, guys. Anyway, watch the website, watch the, retweet as much as you possibly can. This is a really good month for us. And I'm talking to CrowdStrike again, and that's looking very good. So keep your fingers crossed. Eyes, toes,
Speaking of
whatever.
tweeting, I have to apologize to Jason. My first tweet advertising our talk next week is I forgot to include Jason. I was cutting down characters and somehow deleted the wrong section. So I had to delete the tweet and resend it.
No worries, man. Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Looking forward to the talk next week, Duncan.
Looking forward to seeing you virtually, just like now.
Yeah.
Too bad we couldn't do it in person, but next year.
Yeah. And hopefully sometime before this time next year. I was really hoping to getting down there in person. I mean, I technically could have. It was just
You just might not have gotten home.
it was just too much of a headache. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna jump through all these hoops right now.
Well, it's one panel, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Duncan, you will be there?
I will physically be there with Guy.
Cool. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's terrific. Carol and I are going. First
Yep,
time
you
out
guys will go over at the
since,
booth. We're supposed to go stop by the booth.
yeah, that's fantastic. I look forward to seeing you. It's been a long time.
It has been. I will see you there.
Yeah, good job. All righty. So
Take
thanks,
care.
everybody.
Ciao, bye.
Bye.